Please be seated. I'm Jesse Kidney, the senior chaplain with the Stockton Police Department Chaplaincy. And on behalf of the Stockton Police Department and the Inn family, I would like to welcome you and thank you all for showing your support today. It's been so amazing to have the outpouring of support during this very tragic and dark time. A couple of housekeeping items. It is the wish of the family that there are no photos or videos taken during this funeral. Also, if you would please take a moment and place your cell phones on silence or turn them off. We'd also like to thank Christian Life Center for going out of their way to facilitate this. They've met many of our needs and provided this facility for today. Today, we come together as the greater family of law enforcement to celebrate a life well lived, a man that was in every aspect, every possible definition, and in every kind of expectation, a hero. It's quite fitting to come here today to convey our sympathy and our love for the family of Officer N. Today will hold a lot of sorrow, but it will also hold precious memories, reflections, and even laughter. I'd like to share a verse from the book of Psalms. We find these thoughts. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear. Though war break out against me, even then I will be confident. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. For in the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his sacred tent and set me high upon a rock. Then my head will be exalted above the enemies who surround me. As I give an invocation, I would ask that you join me in prayer after your own faith. Please bow. Lord God, you've been a faithful God. When we have been lonely, you have encouraged us. When serving, you have supported and directed us. And when struggling, you have strengthened us. We come before you today with very heavy hearts for the very tragic loss of our brother and friend, Jimmy N. When you called Jimmy to serve the Stockton community, you gave him compassion for the hardest parts of our city. You gave him the courage and the integrity to serve justly and with love. With Jimmy, you also gave him a unique ability to lift others around him, to draw people with his personality and his friendship. When Jimmy died, part of America died. When Jimmy died, a small part of each of us died as well. Lord, we're grateful that you're a Father who knows our pain, knows our loss and our struggle. You're also a God who heals and strengthens us. You give us the ability to continue the mission, not as a broken family, but as a family that has endured hardship, growing through the pain to more passion, more commitment, and stronger as we carry the memories of our friend and fellow officer, Jimmy N. Be with us today. Provide comfort to broken hearts, along with healing and encouragement. We pray this in Jesus' name, amen. I would like to introduce the next speaker, Chief Eric Jones from the Stockton Police Department.
We are here to honor Jimmy Inn and pay respect to his entire family, to show them support, and to, of course, support his wife, Tila, also one of our Stockton Police Department officers, their 7-month-old Jason, and Jimmy's stepchildren, and the entire family. Although we did not have room for all of the community members supporting the police department and Jimmy Inn's family, of which there are a lot, we've asked them to line the route of the procession to visibly show their support. Jimmy Inn was born on September 10th, 1990, in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. He graduated from McNair High School here in Stockton. He was hired by the Stockton Police Department on December 1st, 2015, and he graduated from the San Joaquin County Delta College Academy. I gave him his appointment certificate on July 18th, 2016, welcoming him as a new Stockton police officer. He worked as a patrol officer and also became a prestigious member of our Honor Guard, who you see here today. The Honor Guard honors our fallen officers from here and throughout the state. Jimmy was compassionate and beyond professional. There have been numerous examples of his helping others, the reason he became a Stockton police officer. And he loved being a Stockton police officer. On the morning of Tuesday, May 11th, Jimmy Inn lost his life sacrificing himself for others. He responded to one of the most dangerous types of calls we respond to, a domestic disturbance. He was responding to help an apparent victim of violence, whom he never met or knew, and Jimmy was suddenly shot and killed by an assailant. He laid his life down to save others. He put on his uniform and badge that day, not knowing. It very much illustrates, too painfully, the dangers of police work that often goes unsaid. Courage and compassion. You heard this from Senior Chaplain Jesse Kenyon a moment ago. And we often say during our swearing-in ceremonies that those two words are what the badge stands for, and he exemplified what it means to have courage and compassion. He certainly had courage on that day. It has been said, courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees all the others. He definitely had compassion. There have been so many examples we've been hearing from the community. And Tila told me just recently that Jimmy was the most positive man you will ever know. I get to know new officers a bit in meet and greets, but it's always nice to get to know more about our officers and what they're about. And speaking to Tila recently, I learned something very interesting, a passion that Jimmy and I both shared, his affinity for all things Star Wars. Some, even Tila, I think, would consider us Star Wars nerds. Thanks for that laugh out there, by the way. But we know better. We are more of galactic historians about a galaxy far, far away and a long, long time ago, and that's what gives us our passion. But as they say in Star Wars, may the Force be with you. And Tila, Jason, other family members, his force will always be with you. Something else many of us learned is that with a pay-it-forward system of notes at an establishment, Jimmy and Tila left a note for a stranger they'd likely never meet to later read. The note said, quote, "Be the light in the dark." That is exactly what he was about. And so similarly, it says in John 1:15, "The light shines in the darkness." Jimmy definitely left an imprint which we will never forget on our department and within our community. To his positivity and optimism, if every person in this room, if half the people in general out there were half as positive, just imagine how better our world would be. Let us never forget what he meant to the family, to our police department, to this community. At a private ceremony, I will later be presenting the folded flag to the family, Today, later at this service, I will be providing Jimmy Inn's Law Enforcement Purple Heart Medal to Tila. The Purple Heart honors those injured or killed in the line of duty in circumstances similar to these. His courage and sacrifice will never be forgotten. My message to Jimmy: thank you for your service and giving to this community. You gave everything you had. Few people want to do this work, and fewer people can do this work. Thank you for that service. My message to Tila: thank you for your resilience, your strength, your leading us in understanding what it means to be Stockton PD strong. My message to the entire family: thank you for sharing Jimmy with all of us and for knowing about Jimmy. We are all better for knowing Jimmy. And my message to everyone: now is the time to come together, and we have had a huge outpouring of community support. Let's not have it stop today. Let's continue that support, specifically for the Inn family, but also for all of these men and women you see behind me. We need to support our law enforcement officers for the dangers they take on every day, and all of the law enforcement officers out there and others in public safety. You have my support. Wear the armor of God, and if the metal on your shield wears thin, band together and forge a new, stronger one. We must all be strong together. Thank you.
Officer Jimmy Inn was a light. He was a light in our department, a light in our community. Jimmy never stopped smiling, and if he did, he still had the smile in his eyes. The light that we saw in Jimmy came from his family. Ask him about his wife, and he lit up like a Christmas tree. He'd always speak about her with admiration and respect. Ask about his kids, and again, he would beam like a lighthouse. Jimmy's light came from his friends. I've listened to a lot of stories over the past few days, and near as I can tell, there's between 73 and 85 best friends. Jimmy was a people magnet. He always gave value to the people around him, lifted them up. Jimmy's light came from his faith. He and Tila have blended their faith backgrounds in a way that was defining and sustaining to each of them. Jimmy would often come by my office before shift. We'd catch up and chat a little bit. Occasionally, it would drift off into faith. Jimmy told me how much he respected his father's faith, and that through that, he formed his love and his desire to serve. He also mentioned that it gave him a foundation in a world that seems to be spinning wildly out of control at times. When death struck suddenly and senselessly, our minds go to the question, why? Our faith can be shaken. Questions coming up. Questions involving the motive and the ways of God. Questions difficult to resolve. Questions oftentimes without answers. But God is faithful. He can take our questions. He can take our anger. And sometimes anger is the only place that our soul can cry out from. In the book of Genesis is this text: "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done." As Teal and I cried out to God in prayer, we begged that Jimmy would pull through. God heard that prayer. I'm not a wise enough man to say what God's plan for good is in this, but I have faith that God loves us and He does have a plan. In difficult times, we draw strength from what matters most. Simply put, family, friends, and faith. So for now, keep your family close, love your friends, and be a good friend. And take time to grow your faith in God. Allow that to strengthen you and define you. Then you, like Jimmy, will be a light in your home, a light in your community, and in your department. I close with a verse from Matthew 5, verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a bushel basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to the whole room. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they see your good works and they give glory to your Father in heaven. Now I will introduce Mr. Lee Inn, Jimmy's father.
As a father of fallen officers, my heart is broken into unaccountable pieces. No word to describe the pain of senseless act by a career criminal. Good morning, Chief, Sheriff, CHP, other law enforcement, first responders, mayors, family, friends, distinguished guests. My name is Raleigh Inn, Lee Inn. As Chief had mentioned earlier, Jimmy was born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, a son of a former refugee from Cambodia. He grew up and finished his high school in Stockton. He is well liked and popular among families and friends. Most of the time, Jimmy greets people with courteous, contagious smile. The last few days, law enforcement, general public share the stories on how Jimmy have impacted their lives. Jimmy served his community well, touched many lives during his career. His bilingual capability had helped many disadvantaged families due to their language barriers. I'm so touched and grateful for outpouring of communities, support of my family during these difficult times. On behalf of my family, I would like to express my sincerest gratitude to law enforcement, first responders, doctors and nurses who had tried to save him. And I also would like to express my deepest gratitude to all of law enforcement agencies and community near and far for the support and contribute to help my family. He is in a better place now. Let every one of us remember and honor Officer Jimmy Inn by making a difference in our communities across the nation. If we have more people like Jimmy, the world would definitely be a better place than it is now. Jimmy will be dearly missed and forever in our heart. Thank you.
We'll now invite to the stage Chris Eisler to discuss with us the U.S. Honor Flag.
Good morning. I came here late last night from Washington, D.C. to bring a special American flag, the U.S. Honor Flag. This American flag that's here this morning is an American flag that flew during the recovery efforts at Ground Zero. Since then, this same exact flag has been to over 1,000 funerals, memorials, and events recognizing the honor and selfless service of police officers, firefighters, and those who've served in our armed forces. An American flag that has actually flown on the very last space shuttle, the International Space Station, has traveled millions of miles to honor this selfless service. Coming here last night to honor Jimmy was an important milestone for the Honor Flag. Because of his selfless service to this community and to this nation, this was where we needed to be. And to Jimmy's family, his wife, his father, and all his family, and his new 7-month-old baby, this sacrifice that lives in this flag will be continuously honored forever. This same flag goes to schools all over the nation teaching students about the selfless service of those who serve, not just in law enforcement, but in firefighting, but also our doctors, our nurses, our coaches, those of us who've given our lives to public service in some capacity. But also a message to these incredible family members. If you're a police officer, a first responder, in this room, please stand and let them know that they have aunts and uncles, not just here, but all over the nation, that will forever support and honor their hero. Please give them a round of applause. You know, the social distancing that we've been doing all over the nation and the social issues that we've had all over our country, police officers do not run from that. They go to the danger, they answer those calls to 911. They represent everything that is truly good about this country. Just as Jimmy's father just said, people like Jimmy is what makes this country great. It's people like him that make this country what it is today and what it can be tomorrow. This flag represents that selfless service and the kindness, the ingenuity, and compassion that police officers and firefighters have all over the nation. And our commitment to this family and to this department and this community is that this sacrifice will absolutely not be forgotten and live immortally on what this flag represents. Thank you to his family for allowing us to come here to honor your American hero. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite to the stage Roman Finch.
Hi, my name's Roman, and I kind of want to talk about Jimmy as other than what we all know him as, but my personal experience with him. My cousins were my first friends. When I was a kid, I don't ever remember being as excited as I was when I was hanging out with my cousins. And the time with them never seemed to be enough. Over too quickly every time. My friendship with Jimmy was obvious in the beginning. We were cousins, 3 months separated in age, and we loved each other's company from the very first time we met. At first, Jimmy lived in New Hampshire, and I had only seen him a few times when his family visited here. Honestly, I don't remember the details of how we really connected in those early days. We were 8 or 9 or something when I start to remember, but what I do remember is that we became pen pals around the age of 9. And we actually wrote letters to each other, telling all the most important details of our lives. We loved the whole military thing, so we drew our favorite fighter jets in those letters. I'm pretty sure he drew an F-18 Hornet and I drew an F-14 Tomcat, but it may be the other way around. I don't remember. My mom still has those letters somewhere, and I'll go double check once I could bring myself to walk down that memory lane. Even at that time, I was convinced Jimmy was my favorite person on earth. The glorious day came finally when Jimmy and his family moved to California in 2000. I was so excited I got to spend most of my preteen and early teen years with Jimmy. We had many sleepovers, as many times as our parents would allow us. Thanksgivings and Christmases were centered around going to Jimmy's house, or him coming to my house, or maybe even bonus sleepovers. And I know you all think your child's sleepovers were epic, but ours were epic. The day would be filled with military/Star Wars role-playing. Oh yeah, did I mention that he was Luke Skywalker and I was Han Solo? I think it might have been the other way around. Maybe we swapped back and forth. Either way, most importantly, we were both also Navy SEALs, utilizing the military's finest weapons, such as my dad's caulking dispenser gun or his grease guns, as we waded through the waters of the little plastic pool. We even joined the Boy Scouts together, which is the closest we could have got to the Navy SEALs at that time. Jimmy showed me the magic that is Star Wars. I loved the prequels and the original trilogy because Jimmy loved them, and we watched those movies every time I spent the night at his house. Jimmy introduced me to street racing computer games one sleepover. Need for Speed Underground had just dropped, and my best friend Jimmy had brought it over to my house, and we spent the whole night playing that game. This was the same sleepover that Jimmy brought his Linkin Park Meteora album and a Metallica mixtape, and that experience changed my 13-year-old life. It was a downright religious experience. The rock music, the video games, the late-night pho bowls we made from instant noodle packs, the getting yelled at by my dad to go to sleep, but we didn't go to sleep. We milked every minute of that sleepover because we didn't want it to end. We didn't stay close in high school for some reason, but when we hit our 20s, we reconnected, and I'm thankful we did. Even though we were the same age, I always looked up to him. When he consistently texted me to see if I was down to hang out, I always felt honored and pretty cool. Our friendship grew quickly again. One of our activities was lifting weights together in my home garage gym. Jimmy always struggled to keep up with me in that gym. No, I'm kidding. I actually didn't have enough weights for his crazy bench press, but he was still excited to come to my gym just to hang out with his cousin, my brother. When I met Angela and transitioned into a relationship Roman, Jimmy somehow managed to become an even bigger part of my life and our life. He was always there with us, hanging out, helping us drag massive pieces of furniture into the house, and just being all about cameras, Star Wars, and other nerdy things. When Jimmy made the decision to pursue law enforcement and got into the police academy, I was so proud of him. But I was also a little scared. I was scared I was going to lose my oldest and dearest friend, who I had recently formed a consistent relationship with. But Jimmy made sure that didn't happen. He stayed a constant in my life, despite his own life getting so serious and busy. I remember when he showed up at my house one night in this gray Jeep I had never seen with this girl. And I don't recall too much else about that visit other than seeing Tila for the first time and how much Jimmy was smiling about her. He was so proud of her, to have her by his side. And even ever since then, Jimmy and Tila were a staple in mine and Angela's lives. They were as inseparable as we were. And when the time came, I had no other name in mind for a best man than Jimmy. And Jimmy and Tila showered us with unconditional love and support ever since then. This past year, Jimmy and I were able to spend a good amount of time together. Many of our conversations were about the past and our childhood memories, but many more of them were about the future, about our home improvement plans, about our kids growing up together as close as we did, about the family get-togethers we would throw like our parents did. I thought I would have more time with him, and I keep thinking the universe has made a mistake. Jimmy wasn't given his fair share of years here on earth, and he leaves behind so much. But I love you, Jimmy, and I promise to tell your stories to your beautiful boy, Jason, and I promise my kids will know about you as if you were here in the flesh. I promise our kids will know the joys of being best friends with your cousins like we did. I love you, and I will miss you for the rest of my life. Thank you. And I want to thank the CLC for opening up your building for this. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Milo Marquez.
I met Jimmy many years ago, and I didn't have much of an impression about him then, but the one thing that stood out the most was that he had a natural positive aura about him. He was always friendly, inviting, and he was always smiling, probably a little bit too much. Over time, the more we hung out, we got to know each other a little bit better. And the thing I noticed the most is no matter the circumstance, Jimmy always had a kind heart, and he was the kind of guy to always do the right thing. He was the kind of guy to allow you to take beer out of his personal fridge and give you the shirt off his back. A couple years ago, my wife was pregnant with our son, Mateo. And we were sitting on the couch, and she asked, "What do you think of Tila and Jimmy being Mateo's godparents?" And without hesitation, I said yes. And the reason I didn't hesitate was because I got to know the kind of man Jimmy is. And I knew then, as I know now. This is the kind of hero that I want my son to grow up to be. He was full of life. He was friendly. And I just hope that my son can have the same positive aura that he had around him. And I hope that my son can grow up to always do the right thing without hesitation. Jimmy was taken from us way too early and way too young. And believe me, I know it sucks. The emptiness, the sadness, the hurt, the pain, the loss. I know it all too well. Being in more family funerals than I would like to admit. And through all that death, there's two things that I've learned. And those two things are that we never know when our time is up. And because we know that we never know our time is up, that we should take every moment that we can. Every time we get off the phone, every time we leave the house, every time we drop off our kids at school or at grandparents' house or at the babysitter, never in your life say goodbye. Always say, I love you. Because you never know if that's going to be the last chance that you get. I guarantee that anyone in this room would give up 5 minutes of their life just to get 30 seconds to tell Jimmy in person, I love you. Thank you for your time. And I love all of you.
I'd like to invite to the stage Carlo Fagan.
Jimmy, I remember the first day we met in August of 2016.
I was a nervous new face at the department, not sure of where to go or who to speak to. I remember it was a rainy day and our department's range in the parking lot. I stood out and approached you because, as it seems to be the common theme here, your shining personality and that smile of yours made it easy to approach and introduce myself. You also approached, introduced yourself to me, and you stuck out your hand, and I remember that handshake. And I did not know that you would grow to become one of my closest and dearest friends. Your shining personality and roots in this community was evident with the amount of friends, family, and loved ones that cared for you. It seemed as if everywhere we went, someone would try to flag us down to speak to you, even if it was for just a quick hello. And he always had time to talk to them. You brought much insight and knowledge into my life. I shared a partner car with you for a year in 2017. That is where I got to know you, and you got to know me better than most people. From your interest in the Patriots, photography, your Subaru, and weightlifting. You spoke highly of your Cambodian heritage. You taught me much of the history of your family, a history of which you were extremely proud. You loved your career. That was evident. You wore your honor guard uniform with pride, your shiny badge, your equipment, the way you washed your patrol vehicle on the beginning of every shift. You wore the badge and the uniform with such honor and respect for what it represented to you and to the community. As these last few years have passed by, I have witnessed you achieve many milestones. From the marriage to the love of your life, Tila. From you moving out of that small apartment and purchasing your first home together. A home for Cookie and Josiah. A home for Jason. I still remember receiving the text message from you, informing me that I was going to be an uncle. He worked so hard to be a good role model for both Cookie and Josiah. And I know it's very safe to say that Jason will know his father for who he was, a supportive and devoted family man with a passion for who he loved. Through my friendship with Jimmy and Tila, I was blessed to have met the love of my life as she stands here before me. A privilege of which I am reminded of every day. Thank you, Tila. As I have spent these last few days reflecting, looking at old photographs and watching silly videos of our time at work, our random gatherings, our parties, I can't help but be reminded how your shining personality was the reason behind all of our laughter. Jimmy. I replayed the last time I spoke to you in my mind more times than I care to admit. How we talked about the planning of our next occasion, of wanting to see you at my wedding, as I was there for yours. The conversation ended with yet another handshake for which I will never forget. It breaks my heart that I won't be able to give you a hug, to have a beer or a barbecue with you, to talk about life or family, to laugh at dumb jokes or the retelling of old stories about Poncho and Mark. But I will forever cherish the memories of our friendship, for Angie and I are privileged to have had you a part of our lives. We will always love you, and you, Tila. Till we meet again, Jimmy, as he would always say, I would follow you into the mist of Avalon. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Anthony Taylor.
I was a bit nervous coming up here until I saw how steep those stairs were, and then I was afraid to fall in front of everybody. My name is Anthony Taylor. This is my wife, Gabriella. I was also a partner of Jimmy and a good friend. He was a great friend of us in our family. When Tila and Jimmy's sister, Jessica, asked if I wanted to speak, I didn't. It wasn't because 1,000 of people will be watching or here or on TV, but just trying to face the reality of my brother being gone. It's funny because if Jimmy were here, he'll tell me I'm a loser. But then he'll just make me laugh like, we're still laughing. All right, so many memories were made with Jimmy. All of them were great. Me, my family, my son, my wife, my daughter. I'm sure we all can go on and on, story after story, with all these memories that we had with Jimmy. Well, if I go on and on about these stories, though, it'd probably be as long as my 8-hour Catholic wedding. Thank you, Gabby. Jimmy, along with other brothers and sisters of mine, through blood and through blue, we're all at that wedding. Jimmy and Tila was one of them. We're two of them, sorry. Not all of us, even myself, Jimmy came prepared. Now, myself, Carlo, Fagan, Villapuda, Omar, sometimes Blakesley, Majeski. I can just keep going on, but we all work out before the shift, and I never understood why he would do so many deadlifts and squats, like 500 pounds deadlifts and 400 pounds squatting. Like, what is he doing? This is weeks before my wedding. Little did I know, he was just preparing himself for all the standing, sitting, kneeling, standing, jump squats. I'm trying to get married, not work out, but, and me writing this, I was like, well, thanks for sharing, Jimmy. It would have been nice for me to know that, it's my wedding. But all seriousness, Jimmy was a great asset to the Stockton Police Department. He was a face of what a law enforcement officer should be. Jimmy was a great friend, brother, husband, and father. He was kind, understanding, he listened, and he was abnormally patient. He also wasn't judgmental. Jimmy went out of his way to make other people happy, even if he didn't know them. To Jimmy's family, his mother, father, sister, aunts, and uncles, you have all done an amazing job with Jimmy, and he's a reflection of you all. I thank you for all the cherishing moments my family and I had with him. To Jimmy's children, Joe, Cookie, Jason, as you knew years ago, you have many aunts and uncles that are here for you. But you better remember, I'm your first black uncle. To my knowledge. So if there's any other out there, don't tell me. Tila, you knew the man that paid the ultimate price to protect those he didn't know. There's no one that could be the person Jimmy was to you and your children, and even to his friends. I was talking to my cousin, Chris, who also knew Jimmy, and his wife, Sherelle, and they babysit Jason while they were both at work. And, and he told me, he said, he said, the thing is, we all die someday, but not all of us will be remembered. And Jimmy would definitely be remembered. Jimmy had no enemies, and no one was angry at him. Well, except for you, Tila. When he didn't find your eyeglasses at the bottom of the Pinecrest Lake. Girl, you knew he couldn't swim. To my colleagues around the world, Jimmy Inn, and Lucas Benedetti, and many other officers who paid the ultimate price protecting those they didn't know, the grateful and the ungrateful cannot and will not be forgotten. I want to personally thank everyone for the overwhelming support that you gave, not only to law enforcement, but also to the family that also sacrificed their time without their loved one. Jimmy, I know you're listening. We're here for you, and we love you. And your family will be safe and well taken care of. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Omar Villapuda.
Thanks for stealing my story, Taylor.
It's a true honor to be here today. Thank you, Tila, for giving me the privilege to be up here and to speak some words about Jimmy. There is no greater burden nor greater honor than to bear the loss of a brother, a friend, or a colleague. Jimmy, he was all of these to me. He gave his life to protect and to serve the city and the community he loved. He made the ultimate sacrifice. And for that, we thank him and honor him today. For that's the definition of a hero. I want to thank everyone here for taking the time out and honoring Jimmy and celebrating his life. I know he is with us, smiling down on this beautiful ceremony, saying, "Wow." He would always say, "Wow." I first met Jimmy in January of 2016, just a few days prior to us starting the academy. He was the biggest Asian I had ever seen, and I've seen Bolo from Bloodsport. Except Jimmy always had the biggest smile on his face, as you guys see on his picture and from everybody's stories. As the academy went on, we slowly became better friends, and that was about the time when he began to fall for Tila Martinez. I think he liked her glasses. Shortly after we graduated, Jimmy went out and got himself a Subaru WRX. That was with the help of Tila, of course, because he didn't have good credit. He couldn't even get a library card. As we began our exciting careers as police officers, Jimmy and I happened to end up on the same shift and grew closer over time. I got to know the kids, Joe and Cookie, and I got to know his parents since we would always see Seven at his house. I felt welcome and part of the family, especially with them always offering me food. We were beat partners and partners on some days for about 2.5 years, and he became one of my best and closest friends. I witnessed Jimmy grow as a person as I was there for his marriage, his home, and there to watch him become a father to his firstborn, Jason. Even though he was already the role model, he already had the role of a father with Cookie and Joe. Jimmy was a gentle giant. He was always smiling and always in a good mood. He was always laughing and making people laugh. He did the best voice impressions of people, movies, and cartoon characters. They range from Nickelodeon cartoons to some of the brass at Stockton PD, like Lieutenant Lee and Sergeant Grinder. He was always positive and motivating to everybody around him. He helped motivate several people for just bettering themselves. Jimmy was a big man. He was probably 6'1", 220 pounds of twisted steel. He was a power lifter and was a very muscular man. But nothing can compare to how big his heart was. He was always willing to help anybody, no matter who you were, and he would never ask anything in return except for food. He'd take that all day. He was loved by everybody. Jimmy also loved being in the water, as Taylor said earlier, whether it was in his pool or at a lake. And one summer, a bunch of us friends took a trip up to Pinecrest Lake. We were having a good time, especially Tila, and she lost her glasses. Mind you, this lake is not crystal clear, so there was no way he was going to find those glasses. So Tila told Jimmy, if he didn't find her glasses, he didn't love her. And Jimmy didn't know how to swim. So finally we asked Tila, why don't you just wear contacts? And she said, it's because Jimmy loves my glasses. Jimmy also loved his family.
Tila, Joe, Cookie, Jason, his parents, but he also loved being a cop. He was a great cop, and he was taken too early from us, from his family, but someone had greater plans for him. For everybody here, I ask you that you honor my brother, Jimmy. By giving more of yourself to your loved ones. We're always going to look back and wish we gave more of ourselves to our loved ones and much more time. So if you could look around at the loved ones around you, do that. Tova hala, brother.
Finally, I'd like to introduce Jimmy's wife and Stockton Police Officer Tila Inn.
I just want to clarify something. Jimmy was my best friend. And this is my sister now, Jessica. But before I speak, I want to introduce you to somebody that is a hero to me. Not everybody can run towards gunfire, not even some police officers when it comes down to it. This man did. While bullets were flying past him, he was running towards my husband. I can never repay him for the bravery he showed and the love that he showed for my husband that day. I can only pray that if that time comes for me, I could be just as brave as him. And I know the comfort of his voice was very soothing to my husband as he was taking his last breaths. I want all of us to stand in honor as I introduce Pancho Freire.
At first, I'm Pont. At first, I didn't know if I could do this. But deep down, I knew Jimmy would have it no other way. To Jimmy, I have no idea how to express what you meant to me. I guess I could probably sum it up with Wednesdays. Wednesday, when we were both here, we rode together. We joked, we laughed, we had adventures, we made fun of Mark. Wednesdays were our Fridays. Wednesdays we ate together, and that man could eat. You were the first person I saw pulling in the parking lot every morning, but on Wednesdays there was always a sigh of relief and a warm smile when you and I made eye contact. I never told you this, but you were the reason I came in on quite a few days. I didn't want to miss any joke, any story, any adventure we could have. Wednesdays went by so quickly, but I was always comforted with our mutual goodbye, Dragon, see you Monday. I'm not sure I can ever watch Step Brothers again because of the number of times we quoted it. You're the kind of man, the kind of cop I strive to be. Your warmth, your positivity, nothing ever seemed to bug you. The glass always seemed to be half full with you. It bugged me that I couldn't keep up with you. And I never told you this, but my goal was to one day be able to. This past week has been a blur, and people have been calling me a hero and telling me I did a great job. But all I can think about is how I'll never see you again. Wednesdays will never be the same. I'd trade anything to give you a hug and hear, hey man, I'm getting kind of hangry. Can we get something to eat one more time? I was honored to be your partner. Most of all, I was honored to be your friend. I'll miss you every day, but I'll miss you a little bit more on Wednesdays. Sorry.
I've had a lot of people ask me how I'm so strong. And if you know me personally, it's not quite my reaction to things sometimes. Jimmy has always been the calm in my storm. The short 5 years that I had with him, he's taught me more than I can ever learn in a lifetime. Patience, kindness, forgiveness, self-control. When I wanted to do not so nice things, Jimmy was there to put me back in my place. I remember seeing Jimmy in the police academy. And I also remember thinking, I've never seen such a huge Asian in my entire life. I remember the first encounter that I had with Jimmy in the police academy. I'm from Stockton, born and raised. You know, us West Coast people and our rap. Well, he was walking behind me as I was sitting at a table, and he was rapping Regulators by Nate Dogg and Warren G. And I turned around and I looked at him and I said, what do you know about that music? And he was like, girl, if you only knew. And I think that got me hooked. I don't think I've ever laughed so much in my entire life than when I was with him. He was so much fun. Even if it was taking a drive to the grocery store, I wanted to go with him. I wanted to go everywhere with him. Some people used to call it an obsession. They used to tell me, why are you so obsessed with Jimmy? But who wasn't, right? I think anybody that had contact with Jimmy became obsessed with him. I remember many times going grocery shopping and people would stop him and just want to talk to him. And we'd be standing there for 30, 40 minutes just having a conversation with a stranger. Jimmy saved my life. When I met Jimmy, I was broken. I was alone. And he just made me laugh. And he made me smile. And he breathed life back into me. He gave me the confidence that I needed in myself to even finish the academy. He was patient and he worked with me. Jimmy had a burden for the city like I've never seen before. Sometimes he would lay in bed and cry because he wanted to do more and he just didn't know how. He was very humble. He would ask me, what can I do to be better? I feel like I'm not doing enough. but I know that he's looking down now and he's seen how much he actually did. He's words to people, strangers. He could turn a mess into something beautiful, as he did with me. He took care of my kids like they were his own. Taught them how to cook. My son how to lawn, how to do their laundry. I felt like I became a little bit lazy sometimes because he was just always there and always wanted to do it and always wanted to show them. And he gave and he gave and he gave and he gave. And even in his last breath, he was giving me. There's not enough words or expressions to express the love that I have for him. I honestly don't know how I will go on without him. How can you go on when half of you was gone? But Jimmy never let me fail. And I know that he won't let me fail now. And I just want to say, Jimmy, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I'm going to be the best mom. And I'm going to be the best cop. I'm going to wear your last name proudly.
I'd like to direct you to the screens where we'll have a video presentation.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
First you both go out your way and the vibe is feeling strong. And what's small turn to a friendship turn to a bond. And that bond will never be broken, the love will never get lost. And when brotherhood come first, then the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn. And that line is what we reach, so remember me when I'm gone.
Without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
all change, we all grow. A new lane, but still I know. Started out small, to a real bond. Cause we're brothers first, cause we're keeping to it. But then they know what we gon' keep it going. Change the game without even knowing. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be there for the last ride. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last ride. And now you gon' be there for the last ride. First you both go out your way and the vibe is feeling stronger. What's small turn to a friendship turn to a bond, and that bond will never be broken. The love will never be lost.
Jimmy.
And when brotherhood come first, then the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn, and that line is what we reach. So remember me when I'm gone. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last time.
Without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. Never let it ruffle up your feathers.